All right, let's dive into a new deep dive today.
Sounds good.
And today we are talking about the Gaddi people.
The Gaddi.
Yeah. Have you heard of them?
I have, yes.
Okay, awesome. So, they're this semi-nomadic community living high up in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
And they're shepherds and farmers and musicians. And it seems like they just embody this whole way of life that I think most of us can only really dream about,
Yeah.
So I'm excited to kind of get into their world a little bit.
Yeah, and I think particularly what's fascinating about them is just that they have held on to their traditions so strongly, even as things are rapidly changing all around them.
That's exactly what I think is so fascinating, too. Like, how do they keep that heritage alive in the 21st century? It's pretty amazing. And we've got some really cool stuff to work with on this one. We've got research papers. We even found a documentary by Films Division. So there's a lot of really great material to dive into. Where should we even begin with this?
Well, I think their origins are always a great place to start.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
And, there's a lot of debate about where they came from, but one theory links them to the Rajputs who fled Muslim invasions like way back over 1,000 years ago.
Wow.
Like imagine seeking refuge in the Himalayas.
Wow.
Carrying your entire culture and traditions with you,
Yeah.
passing them down for generations.
That's incredible. I read that even their dialect has remained remarkably similar over all that time.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. That's some serious dedication to their roots.
Yeah.
Now, to really understand the Gaddis, we have to talk about their lifestyle.
Okay.
They practice this thing called transhumance.
Okay.
Essentially, it means they migrate with their flocks of sheep and goats throughout the year. They're following the seasons to find the best grazing lands.
So they're constantly on the move through these, just incredible landscapes, and I was watching that documentary that we have, and it really brings that to life. You see them navigating these steep mountain paths and crossing rivers, and the flocks are always right there with them. It's really something.
It's an image that resonates deeply with people, even those of us who live in cities and towns. Like the shepherd and his flock, it kind of speaks to a simpler way of life, a connection to nature that I think we all kind of maybe long for in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And, speaking of things that capture your attention, their traditional clothing is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The woolen chola cloak, the black woolen rope, those intricate pouches, every piece just tells a story.
And that's the thing about the Gaddi is they're deeply invested in preserving their heritage.
Yeah.
From their clothes to their music, dances, language, they're working really actively to make sure that those traditions don't disappear, even as India modernizes at this incredible pace.
Yeah, it's honestly inspiring. It shows that progress doesn't have to erase tradition. They can coexist and even complement each other, which brings me to something I'm dying to get into, Gaddi music.
Okay.
It's always been central to their culture, but now it's finding this whole new audience on YouTube.
It's really a fascinating phenomenon.
Yeah.
Gaddi music videos are getting millions of views.
Really?
Yeah. These singers are becoming stars not just within their community, but all over.
Wow.
And what's really interesting is, you see these online Gaddi singers, they're also very active offline, participating in these cultural programs and rituals, blending the digital and traditional in this way that's really shaping the future of their music.
Yeah, it's like this wild mix of old and new.
Yeah.
And you see these traditional instruments and hear the sounds of the mountains, but then you've got this modern video editing, special effects and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I was totally captivated. It's really cool.
Yeah. And this online presence, it's actually having a real impact,
Yeah.
It's not just entertainment. It's helping to kind of reinforce their cultural identity in a digital age, reaching a much larger audience, connecting with younger generations, and even influencing their economy in new ways.
Really?
It's pretty remarkable how they're using these platforms to share their culture with the world.
It makes you wonder how all this affects their everyday lives. What's it like for them on the ground?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
The Gaddis, they face many of the same challenges as other traditional communities around the world,
Right.
Modernization, economic pressures, the need to adapt to a rapidly changing world.
Yeah.
It's a lot to navigate, but they're not just clinging to the past.
Right.
They're finding ways to kind of integrate their heritage into the present.
Okay. I'm sensing a but here.
You got it.
Okay.
What's fascinating is that the Gaddis are incredibly resourceful.
Okay.
They're finding really creative ways to adapt. Take their shepherding, for example.
Okay.
It's been at the heart of their livelihood for centuries.
Right.
But with modernization, they've had to find new ways to make it work.
So how are they doing that?
Well, they're forming cooperatives, for instance, to market their products more effectively, like their wool, their dairy. They're also exploring new economic opportunities, like
what?
Guiding trekkers through the mountains.
Oh, that's cool.
They know those landscapes like the back of their hands.
Yeah.
So it's a natural fit.
Yeah.
And some are even venturing into digital marketing.
Right.
Selling their handicrafts online.
Wow.
They're taking their traditions and applying them to the modern world.
That's awesome. It's like they're weaving a new thread into their cultural tapestry, connecting the past to the future.
Exactly. And we can't forget the role of education.
Yeah.
More and more Gaddi children are attending school, pursuing higher education. This is opening up new possibilities for them.
Yeah.
Professions that were once unimaginable.
So they're adapting, evolving.
Yeah.
But not losing sight of who they are. It's about finding that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not always easy.
Right.
These changes also bring challenges like economic pressures and the need to balance tradition with the demands of modern life.
Yeah, but does that create any tension within the community?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Different opinions on how to move forward.
Yeah.
There are varying viewpoints on how to navigate this transition. Some believe modernization poses a threat to their cultural identity.
Okay.
While others see it as a way to improve their lives
Right.
and ensure a better future for their children.
It's that age-old dilemma, progress versus tradition.
Yeah.
Sounds like a tough conversation to have.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's where dialogue and understanding become so important. That it's about respecting those different perspectives and finding ways to bridge the gap between generations. It's crucial to remember that the Gaddi community isn't a monolith.
Right.
It's diverse, with a range of voices and aspirations.
It's easy to romanticize traditional cultures.
Yeah.
And think they're frozen in time. But the reality is so much more complex. You know?
Absolutely.
They're facing real issues, making hard choices, and forging their own path forward.
Absolutely, and that's what makes their story so compelling.
Yeah.
It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and the enduring power of culture.
Yeah.
The Gaddis remind us that tradition isn't just about clinging to the past.
Right.
It's about carrying the essence of who you are into the future, even as the world changes around you.
Okay, so we've talked about their origins, their lifestyle, their culture, the challenges they face, and their incredible ability to adapt. But before we move on, I'm really curious about their religious beliefs.
Okay.
They seem so connected to the natural world.
Yeah.
I'm guessing their spirituality reflects that.
You're right on the mark.
Okay.
The Gaddis are deeply spiritual people.
Okay.
Their beliefs are a fascinating blend of Hinduism and animism.
Animism.
Yeah.
For those of us who might not be familiar with that term.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's the belief that everything in nature, mountains, trees, rivers, animals, has a spirit. And for the Gaddis, this is deeply intertwined with their connection to the Himalayas and their pastoral way of life. They believe in a multitude of deities, some benevolent, some fearsome, who reside in the peaks, valleys, and forests that surround them.
So their spirituality is very much rooted in their environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that connection to the natural world is woven into their rituals and ceremonies. They have these elaborate festivals dedicated to their sheep and goats.
Wow.
Recognizing how vital these animals are to their lives.
Right.
They also believe in ancestral spirits.
Okay.
And make offerings to appease them, seeking their guidance and protection.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It reminds me of other indigenous cultures around the world.
Yeah.
Who hold that same reverence for nature.
It's a reminder that our connection to the natural world is fundamental to our sense of self and our place in the universe. And the Gaddi, with their deep spiritual connection to the Himalayas, offer a really powerful example of that.
Yeah, it's not just about rituals and ceremonies either.
Yeah.
You know, their traditions are also about values.
Yes.
Ethics, a whole way of life that emphasizes community.
Yep.
Harmony with nature.
Absolutely.
Respect for elders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Gaddis have a strong sense of community and social responsibility. Their traditions prioritize cooperation, sharing, helping one another, especially in times of need. Their elders hold a position of great respect, and their wisdom is sought after in all kinds of matters.
It sounds like a very cohesive and supportive community.
It is.
Yeah.
And this sense of community is a big part of their strength.
Right.
Especially when facing the challenges of the modern world. Their shared values and traditions provide a solid foundation, a sense of belonging and identity that helps them navigate change.
It really makes you think, in a world that often feels increasingly fragmented and individualistic, what can we learn from the Gaddi about the importance of community and connection?
That's a profound question.
Yeah.
Perhaps they remind us that our well-being, both as individuals and as a society, is tied to the strength of our communities and our connection to something bigger than ourselves.
That's a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
So as we delve deeper into the world of the Gaddi, we're not just learning about a community in the Himalayas. We're exploring these universal themes of resilience, adaptation, the power of culture, and the importance of human connection.
And as we reflect on their story, we're invited to consider how these themes resonate in our own lives and communities, and what lessons we can draw from the Gaddi's remarkable journey.
It's a reminder that even facing immense change, there's always hope, always the possibility of finding balance, and always the enduring power of the human spirit. It's amazing to think about, their resilience, their connection to their traditions. It makes me wonder about the bigger picture. Like, what can their story teach us about the state of traditional cultures in a world that's becoming increasingly globalized?
Yeah, that's a really important question. The Gaddi men, like so many indigenous communities around the world, are navigating a complex landscape. Globalization presents both opportunities and challenges.
Yeah, it's like they're walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Trying to hold on to their identity while also participating in a globalized world.
Exactly. And what's interesting is they're not simply resisting globalization. They're engaging with it on their own terms. They're choosing which elements to embrace, the ones that align with their values, while fiercely protecting their core traditions.
So it's not about shutting out the modern world entirely.
No.
It's about finding ways to make it work for them. Can you give us some specific examples of how they're doing that?
Sure. We've already talked about how they're using platforms like YouTube.
To promote their music and share their culture. That's a prime example of engaging with globalization strategically. They're also creating cooperatives to market their products more effectively. Combining traditional craftsmanship with modern business practices.
That's so smart. They're taking control of their own narrative and using these tools to their advantage. It proves that you can be globally connected and culturally distinct at the same time.
Absolutely. And their story offers valuable lessons for other traditional communities. Grappling with similar challenges. It highlights the importance of agency. Making conscious choices about how to interact with the outside world instead of simply being swept away by it.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance, that sweet spot between tradition and modernity.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that that balance is always evolving. It's not a fixed destination, but an ongoing process of adaptation and reinvention. It makes you think about the future of cultural diversity in a world that's becoming increasingly interconnected. Can cultures as unique as the Gaddis really survive and thrive?
That's the big question. And I believe the answer lies in our willingness to truly value cultural diversity. It's about creating a world where different cultures can coexist and flourish, where traditions are respected and indigenous voices are heard and valued.
So it's not just about preserving cultures in museums or textbooks. It's about ensuring they have the space and support to continue evolving and adapting. Finding their place in the modern world without losing their essence.
Precisely. And the Gaddis, with their unwavering dedication to their heritage and their amazing capacity to adapt, give us a really powerful example of what's possible. They show us that resilience isn't about resisting change, but about embracing it thoughtfully, strategically, and with a deep understanding of one's own values.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of the Gaddi, I'm honestly left feeling hopeful and inspired. Their story is a testament to the power of cultural diversity. A reminder that it's a source of creativity, resilience, and wisdom, and we all share a responsibility to ensure that cultures like theirs not only survive, but thrive in the 21st century and beyond.
Beautifully said. The future depends on our ability to embrace both our shared humanity and our unique cultural identities.
It's been such a fascinating journey exploring the lives, traditions, and challenges of this remarkable community nestled in the Himalayas. And as we sign off, I want to leave you with a thought to ponder in a world that's increasingly focused on globalization. What can we learn from the Gadd community's dedication to preserving their unique identity? Maybe you could even explore some Gaddi music online. Imagine those traditional instruments echoing through the Himalayas while reaching a global audience through the power of the internet. It's a real testament to the enduring spirit of culture and the incredible potential of human connection. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating tapestry of our world.